Today's episode is sponsored by Staying Inside. It's too cold to go outside. I won't let you play it for me beforehand, and we do it for real, live on camera. That's the very first time. So when you see me hearing a song, Forgetful Lucy, or I Want to Grow Old With You in The Wedding Singer, that is my natural reaction. Drew Barrymore on Whenever She Works with Adam Sandler. Insert theme song here. This is the Daily Sarcast. I give you the news and maybe a laugh. I'm Lindsey Vernick, and it's December 5th, 2025. I don't know if you watched it or not, but if you go on HBO, turn on Cheap Ass Beach Houses, and I am in the first episode. I'm like a part of the beep roll eating ice cream that was not planned to happen. I just that day, I just really wanted some freaking ice cream, and the camera guy happened to catch it on camera, and I guess it made it in the show. But no, I was actually a producer on all of those shows, so I know all of the people on that show almost too well, some of them. And if you see a restaurant or any kind of location in the scene that's not a house, I was in charge of booking that. So yeah, it's exciting stuff. And make sure you watch to the end and you can see my little name in the credits. So in real news, a federal advisory panel is deciding whether newborns should get the hepatitis B shot. Health Secretary RFK Jr. picked the committee who spent all of yesterday, arguing over what counts as data and what counts as speculation. They postponed the vote again and generally made parents everywhere question whether anyone actually knows what's happening. One panelist called another an idiot. So yeah, it's basically like an elementary school class in there. Outside experts point out that the hepatitis B is still a thing and babies are still vulnerable and the current vaccine program works. Inside the panel, some presentations came from climate researchers and lawyers. Yeah, lawyers talking about vaccines. So if you were hoping for clear guidance on this one, tough luck. Your friend's brother or sister who just graduated from medical school probably has better advice. Over 1.5 million bags of shredded cheese, mozzarella, provolone, and Asiago are officially under suspicion for containing metal fragments. The recall was first announced in October by Great Lakes Cheese, but the FDA just elevated it in December. So yeah, this cheese has been low-key on all grocery shelves for months. The bags were distributed to grocery stores in 30-plus states and Puerto Rico, meaning all of your sandwiches, pizzas, and mac and cheese could be at risk. FDA classifies this as a Class 2 recall, which means temporary or medically reversible health issues are possible. Basically, crunchy cheese isn't exactly what you want in your mouth, unless it's really good Gouda, which is my favorite anyways. The company hasn't responded to reporters, which is either a classic corporate shrug or we're just secretly trading mice to eat metal fragments. And just to keep your panic on edge, this recall joins a long list of common household threats currently under FDA scrutiny. This includes beef bowls, vanilla ice cream, Ritz crackers, whiskey pecans, and dessert buns. So check your cheese before you sprinkle it anywhere, or anything else you're buying at the store, apparently. The New York Times filed a lawsuit against the Pentagon yesterday, arguing that new press restrictions violate journalists' First Amendment rights, including freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and due process. The rules at the Pentagon, which went into effect in October, require reporters to sign a 21-page form restricting activities like contacting sources or soliciting tips. Noncompliance could lead to losing Pentagon press passes, and the department gave itself broad discretion to enforce the rules. The policy applies to both classified and unclassified information and allows the Pentagon to label journalists as security or safety risk. The lawsuit seeks a court order to halt enforcement and a declaration that these go against First Amendment rights and that's unlawful. These restrictions are a part of Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's effort to limit press access and privileges at the Pentagon. Hegseth has previously removed veteran reporters' workspaces and limited reporter movement in the building, favoring pro-Trump outlets. Some credentialed journalists, including 6 from the Times, surrendered their badge rather than sign that crazy form. New outlets, largely supportive of the administration, replaced them. The Times argued that this policy is unprecedented, and it threatens core journalistic protections and would suppress reporting from outlets with viewpoints the department disfavors. This is all a part of a bigger thing that's going on between the government and the press. There's been other lawsuits against the White House because they've taken back press passes and excluded certain journalists from events. Like freedom of speech, guys, duh. In Lindsey life. Okay, so I lived in the Upper East Side for more or less a year now, like give and take all the travel, more like 8 months. I don't know if that's even right either, but whatever. So if you live in if you live in New York or familiar, you know that the subway cars are really long. So let's say like you get on in the front of the car, but then like when you get to your station, you get off and you realize like you need to exit at the opposite end, and it's such a schlep when it's like you could have gotten on the right car in the first place. I finally learned that I need to get on at the back of my subway car in order to get off at the back of the station to take me right where I need to be. Some things just take me longer to get than others. So when I finally was able to do it the other day, I got up, I walked up the steps, and I'm like, I'm here. I don't have to schlep across the station. I wanted to like tell everybody I did it right. I was so happy, but I don't think I don't think anybody else would have cared. They would have been like, cool, dude. I probably figured that out my first week living here. MVP of the week goes to this guy, Richard Ricinios or something. He was this off-duty paramedic, and he saw a 7-year-old girl standing on a porch surrounded by this crazy house fire in East Hollywood. So did he call 911 and calmly wait for them to come? Absolutely not. This guy just zipped up his leather jacket like a superhero, ran into the fire, grabbed the kid, and took her into safety. And the firefighter showed up right in time to deal with the rest of the chaos. The girl walked away with minor burns to her feet, and Richard walked away with MVP this week. Because, like, who just risks their life when you're not even an on-duty person to run into a house fire and just save some little girl that you don't even know? Cooking tip of the day is don't eat all of the cheese at once. Feedback, comments, questions, a nice Jewish boy looking for a date, email me at lindsay@thedailystarcast.com. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great weekend. Stay warm, and I will talk to you guys on Monday.